Good morning. Today is 6th of January, and Baba's taking up the different praise that is there of God in the religious scriptures that are part of Brahma Baba's Lokik background. And in the sect of Hinduism, which is called Valbhachari, and the people who are in Sindh, their main focus is the Guru Granth Sahib, which is the religion of the religious scripture of the Sikhs. And there is also two other scriptures. One is called Jap Sahib and the other is called Sukhmani. And these three scriptures, especially Jap Sahib and Sukhmani, they contain a lot of praise of incorporeal God. And the Sikh religion is in between Hinduism and Islam. And so the Sikhs do not have any deities, they do not worship any representations, any human representations, but their focus is on the scripture. So the last of the 10 gurus said, after me, no more gurus, after me is the scripture. And then also there is the Gita. So Baba's talking about this, how incorporeal Shiv Baba is described in the Sikh religion. So the essence is, sweet children, when you are body conscious, then you perform negative karma naturally. And therefore, promise you will break away from everyone else and forge all relationships with one. So this gives us a very clear understanding about the connection between coming under the influence of the prevailing social attitudes as the motivating force for performing karma on one side, and then the influence of Shiv Baba on the other side. So when you are body conscious, it means that you are under the influence of your Lokik relatives, culture, physical identity, religion, and then the karma that you do on that basis becomes negative karma because it is in opposition with Shrimat. So they're doing negative karma, but without thinking that it's negative karma. And so when you break away from everyone else and have all relationships with one, then it changes your relationship with the material world, the people, the places, the things, and it changes your karma. Now the question is, what natural events do people consider to be acts of God? And that is the natural calamities that come in the drama. At this time of destruction, just one wave from the ocean, a tsunami, can wipe away the lands and the islands. So they wouldn't wipe away the land, but they would wipe away the people and their habitat. So rehearsals for this continue to take place at this time. These are all naturally occurring events, but people call them acts of God. But Baba says, I do not give any directions for those. All these natural events are fixed in the drama. And the song is, who came to my mind with the sound of ankle bells? Shanti. Who came means who came into your heart, who came into your mind. That means who do you remember? It's not that he appeared and sat down in your heart, because that would indicate the omnipresence of God. No. Who came into your remembrance? Now come all these expressions from Sikh religion. So Akal Murat. There is a saying that they chant in the Gurudwara, Sat Shri Akal, and this is a chant that the priest says Sat Shri Akal, and then all the people respond with Bole So Nihal. And so they say this a lot in their religious services. So Akal Murat means the one who is the form of immortality, and he cannot be consumed by death. And in the Sikh temple, especially in Amritsar in particular, there is what is called the Akal Takht, so the throne of immortality. And then there are the Akali people, the Akali Dal. So these were the people who were politically very active in an attempt to get a separate state for the Sikh community, separate from India. And these were the people who assassinated Indira Gandhi. And so these are the Akalis, and Akal means deathless. So these people do not understand that their dharma is a dharma of the family path. So then Baba is making a connection between the Hinduism, which is divided into different sections. And one section is for the family, Pravruti Marg, and the other is Nirvruti Marg, so the sannyasis. So the Vedic India, which come from the 5th century onwards, this is what Baba says, this is not real religion of India, but it's the real religion of India was forgotten. So there is only the one Adi Sanatan deity dharma which was forgotten. This word prayalob means forgotten. So it was displaced, and all the scriptures were changed, and all of the awareness of it disappeared and was replaced by a different version made by Shankaracharya. So this is the other dharma, the dharma of renunciation, the path of isolation, where they leave their homes and families because they want to be free from karma. And so in the scriptures, it talks about the word akarma, and they interpret akarma to mean you must not do any kind of karma. And then they say, well, karma means business and family interaction. That is karma. And if you leave both of those, then you have akarma. So they leave their homes and families, and they take up limited renunciation, and they practice celibacy. They would definitely be celibate in the jungles. So the women are not recommended to go into the jungles, because if they do, what happens in wartime when the women have to escape, they escape into the jungles, and then somebody finds them and rapes them. So women need to have some kind of social protection. So in the jungles, you will not find women because of that. So the customs and systems of the different religions are their own, and they have their own teachings. That one is the religion or the dharma of the path of isolation, the sannyas dharma. And it means that those who follow that dharma should also leave their homes and put on saffron clothes. It is the fact that those people say they can achieve spiritual knowledge, spiritual enlightenment while living at home. But that knowledge is not true knowledge, and nor can the sannyasis enable them to become free. In fact, the definition of a guru is one who takes the follower to the state of salvation. That means nirvana and then beyond. They only go as far as nirvana. So there is only one who can actually do that. It is Shiv Baba. So Guru Nanak gave teachings, and he defined and praised and described the Supreme Soul as Akal Murat, the one who is immortal, and Ek Omkar, which means the beginning. And you now are in remembrance of this one who is the immortal, the form of immortality, the Supreme Father, the Supreme Soul. And they say that this one who is the form of immortality does not take rebirth. He is called Swayambhu. So Swayambhu means not that he's beyond rebirth. Swayambhu means he gets himself to be born. He arrives by himself. He's not born through a womb. He's not born as a consequence of some parents creating a child, but he arrives by himself. And this is the reality. He arrives by himself into the body of Brahma Baba. So the incorporeal Supreme God is the creator, and he is called Nirvair and Nirbhay. So we have a very well-known brother whose name is Nirvair, and he is also a Sikh. And before he became BK, he was Sikh. And that means that you don't have any enemies. And Nirbhay means that you are not afraid of anything. So the form of immortality is called Sat Guru Prasad and Japsab. So Japsab is the name of the scripture in which all these descriptions of God are there. And they chant the scripture by going one name after another, after another, after another. So all these are the praise, the description of the Supreme Father, the Supreme Soul. So they believe that God is the form of immortality, and he is telling you that the golden age is real, and that whatever is to happen is real. Then they also say that God washed the filthy, impure clothes, which means he cleans the consciousness. Your clothing is your consciousness as well as your body. So as purifier, it means he washes the dirty clothes. He cleans your soul and body. And this is why he is praised. Then there is a reference to the human being of this time as thieves and orphans. I checked. So this is a quote from the scriptures of Sikhism. Guru Nanak had said that in the world there are countless ashank chor and haram khor. So these are very bad kinds of thieves and low quality criminals, and he says there's just vast numbers of people of that caliber. So people of this description do a lot of damage. So the people of the world today cause damage. It is also remembered of this time. And then Nanak says to the people, think about this, degraded ones, and then they sacrifice themselves to him. So when God came, the people must definitely have sacrificed themselves to him. And Baba says, I come and I uplift those with the stone intellects, the ahilya, the people who are crippled, and the sages. And definitely it means all of them are impure. So according to the laws of karma, if somebody is in a really bad condition, lacking in intelligence, lacking in health, lacking in prosperity, people will assume that they've done negative karma to get in that condition. So that's understandable that God would uplift them. But then he says, I uplift the sages. And this is also in the Gita. He says, I am uplifting the sages. And yet people find it, distressing to hear that because they assume the sages are already uplifted. But he says, definitely all are impure. This is a matter of the unlimited. And so the master of the unlimited would definitely come and explain. Brahma, Vishnu, and Shankar are my creation. The Adi Sanatan deity dharma is established through Brahma. And the many different adharma are destroyed through Shankar. So adharma is not just religions, many religions. Adharma is attitudes, concepts, philosophies, ways of doing things that are contrary to dharma. And so it's not necessarily specific religions. But these are destroyed through Shankar. So to destroy that through Shankar, Shankar means bodilessness, and also the third eye is open. So when you see clearly, you can see the difference between dharma and not dharma. So this is the meaning of destroyed through Shankar. The others who come, founders of religion, they simply establish their own religion. Those gurus, and again the 10 gurus of the Sikh religion, those gurus do not give anyone salvation. And to whom would they grant salvation? Because at the time when they arrive, the people of their religion are not there. They're still in the soul world. So who will they give salvation to? There's no one there. Because their people of their religion are not all there until the end of the cycle. So they come down one by one by one. So he says their own dynasty hasn't grown fully. It means their people haven't arrived yet. And so to whom would they give salvation? And the Father says, I come and I establish the Adi Sanatan deity dharma, and I inspire the destruction of all forms of adharma. So adharma is translated as irreligiousness, but it's more like anything which is contrary to the concepts of soul, supreme soul, time, karma, drama, all that would be adharma. So at this time, everyone has become tamopradhan, sinful souls. The people who are the actors in this unlimited drama, should know how the cycle of the drama turns. That is, they should know the beginning, continuation, and end. And the actors in the drama know the whole story. The Father comes and he makes us children Trikaldarshi. So you know the beginning, the middle, and the end. You also understand that the Father definitely comes and establishes heaven, the world of truth, Satyuga, and he destroys the world of falsehood. So the one who establishes the world of truth is the truth. And only Baba explains all these things. Not everyone can absorb all this because they have a lot of body consciousness. So in this case, what would stop you from absorbing the knowledge is that you're still in the concepts of bhakti. And so you can't hold both of them in your intellect at the same time. So the study that we're doing is a slow process to acquire more knowledge and let go of more, having realized that it's not true. So the more soul conscious you become and consider yourselves to be bodiless souls and remember Baba, the more you will be able to imbibe. Those who are body conscious cannot imbibe. So part of body consciousness is arrogance, and arrogance is connected with fixed ideas. So if you have fixed ideas, it's like what we call bigotry, and you can't have any other ideas if you have a fixed idea. By having yoga, the sins of you souls will be burned away. During the day, there is body consciousness. It doesn't mean that you are sinful all day long, but you have to function according to your bodily identity, so it takes over. So when should you practice being soul conscious? The Father says, become conquerors of sleep. That means wake up early in the morning with nothing else going on, Amrit Vela. The Father explained so many good points, but there are some children who do not listen to the Murli. The study is the main thing. You must definitely study the Murli in whatever way you can. But it shouldn't be that you continue to indulge in vice, that means lust, and you're also asking for Murlis. Until someone guarantees that they're in celibacy, do not send them the Murlis. And what would be the condition of someone who doesn't study the Murli? Even good children don't study the Murli. So what is the meaning of good children? Is someone who is like active in service and kind of well-known. They become intoxicated wrongly. What that means is they have arrogance of knowledge and they think they already know everything. So actually, the Murli should not be missed for a single day. If someone is unable to imbibe, then you can understand it is because of body consciousness. So body consciousness is also synonymous with arrogance. So such ones would not be able to claim a high status. Baba explains very well, and you children also have to explain to others. Baba cannot go outside. That means Baba will not go to any public gatherings. He will not be part of any Lokik activities. And Baba doesn't talk to the public. Baba explains only to you children. This senior mama is incognito, so that's Brahma Baba, the senior mother. The Shaktis can go outside, the sisters. When conferences take place, religious conferences, they have no representative of the Adi Sanatan Devi Devta Dharma. They have sannyasis, but not this. So this point also has to be explained. The other fathers or founders of religions that come simply come to establish a religion, and they do not come to destroy adharma. The establishment of Sat Dharma, the true religion, and the destruction of all adharma, the antagonistic to what's real, only takes place at the confluence age. The Father comes when everyone is in a state of decline, and the period of ascent arrives only once, confluence age. And there is a verse about this. Brahma Baba had read this in his childhood, that Guru Nanak had said that all those who defame God are false. That means all those who say things about God that are not true, they are also not true. And not a single person remains pure. They don't stay in celibacy. In the Sikh religion, there is the Akali Dal, who have a black circle on their heads. And this is a symbol of the cycle of self-realization, Swadershan Chakra. It is a symbol of purity. And they also wear a bracelet, and both of these are symbols of purity. But those people neither understand the meaning of these symbols, nor do they practice purity. The sacred thread, the janoi, is also a symbol of purity. So the janoi is a string that they put around the shoulder. So the Brahmins wear this. And nowadays they have removed all these symbols. The Brahmin caste is the most elevated, and they wear a long top knot. So they shave their heads except for a little bit at the back, and they keep that hair quite long. And the reason they do that is because they believe that a time will come when they're all like foundering in dirty water, and then Vishnu will come and pull them up by their top knot. So if he can't grab a hold of it, it'd be difficult. So they keep that. And in the Sikh religion, they keep long hair. And BKs, the sisters have to have long hair. So all of this is a symbol of your strength is in your hair. And there's a story in the Bible of Samson and Delilah. Samson was a very strong man, and he could only be overcome by his girlfriend managing to get his hair cut, and then they could overcome. So this was a war. So none of these people practice purity. Only the one Supreme Father, the Supreme Soul, comes and purifies everyone. It is not that Buddha and Christ were purifiers. No. There are many gurus in the world who teach you and give you an education, but the bestower of salvation for all, the purifier, is only one, Shiv Baba. He takes you to the soul world, as any guru must, and then to the golden age. So I alone come to purify everyone and take you all back with me. And together with the ocean of knowledge, Shiv Baba, There are you, Ganges of knowledge, who are his helpers. So they have put images of goddesses at the river Ganges. So they call the river itself as a goddess, and they put an idol of the goddess by the river. But in fact, you are the Ganges of knowledge. You cannot be worshipped at this time because you are in process of becoming worship worthy. From being worshippers, you are becoming worship worthy. And when you are fully worship worthy, then the worshipping will fade away. You'll stop. So the significance of this is explained, but it doesn't fit in anyone's intellect. So you have to have a very good power of discrimination to recognize what God is really saying. Follow Baba's Shrimat at every step. Continue to renounce body consciousness. All your friends and relatives will be destroyed. All of us will go back home, but the earth will remain. The Father says, I am the creator of the new world, but I still have to come into the old world, which is why I am called the purifier. So the world must surely be impure. World means social world. There will not be anyone impure in the pure world. God has to establish heaven, and this is why he is called Heavenly God the Father. Christ does not establish heaven. And yes, the souls that come from up above at that time are called Satopradhan. So when Christ comes, he opens up the way for all the Christian souls to come. So when the souls come, they are Satopradhan, but they come in the Copper Age. So the earth is not Satopradhan, but they are. No one other than Shiv Baba can make impure ones pure. Now you children must not perform any negative karma which would cause you to be called impure. That means break your celibacy. Sins are committed due to body consciousness. So you guarantee that you will break away from everyone else and connect yourselves to the One. So now you must fulfill that promise. Otherwise, there will be suffering. It is also mentioned in the Guru Granth Sahib that when you rise, so they translated it differently, but it actually says, when you rise, everyone else rises. And when you fall, everyone else falls. So the souls, the golden age souls, they're leaders all the way through the cycle, and everyone else follows whatever they are doing. So these expressions are very good, very meaningful. But whatever you had learned from the religions, you have to forget that. It's incorrect. Baba doesn't remember the names of all the children because he has to remember Shiv Baba. Why does he say this? Because many people come to Baba, and if they notice that he doesn't remember their name, they feel offended. So he says, don't be offended. We all have to remember Shiv Baba. And so Baba says, stay happy, stay prosperous. Don't forget and don't remember. So these are aphorisms that are well known. Nayad karo na visaro. Daddy Prakash Mani used to say that a lot. Don't forget and don't remember. But Baba definitely remembers the serviceable ones. Such and such a child is a very good helper. The wealthy are in extreme darkness. No one is aware that death is just ahead. God is speaking. And he says, I am teaching you Raj Yoga. And so the goddess of wealth, so Lakshmi, the goddess of wealth, is definitely created through knowledge. So, Saraswati, the goddess of knowledge, Mama Jagadamba, becomes Lakshmi, the goddess of wealth, as a result of the knowledge. A whole kingdom is being created number-wise. You know that you are studying number-wise. Baba says, I am establishing a kingdom and I get the destruction done of many adharma, many forms of adharma. So people assume that it means the religions that are called religions, but adharma includes social attitudes and ideas, concepts, anything to do with what we call Western civilization, all goes. And the sannyas, Vedic India, all those ideas all go. So there is just the one supreme Satguru, and only the one highest on high God is remembered. Even the highest ones, Brahma, Vishnu, and Shankar, cannot be called God. So, there is a hierarchy. Shiv Baba on top, then Brahma, Vishnu, Shankar, then Lakshmi, Narayan, which is also Radhe and Krishna. So then Radhe and Krishna are lower than Brahma, Vishnu, Shankar on the hierarchy. So if Brahma, Vishnu, Shankar cannot be called God, then Rama and Krishna can also not be called God. Now Ram is even further down. So that one, God, is the ocean of knowledge, the purifier. Devotees remember God. They don't remember Brahma, Vishnu, and Shankar initially, but now they have become adulterated. It should be adulterous, because adulterated means they've got other things mixed into them. And adulterous means they remember many, not just one. So it's really adulterous. So many good things have to be imbibed. Those who do something will receive the return of it. This is an idiom, and it means that if you make an investment in Baba's yagya, you will get the return of it. You are the Ganges of knowledge. You are on the banks of the river. This is the ocean cannot go anywhere. Have you seen the ocean go anywhere? It's just there. It's 70% of the planet. But rivers flow, so they travel. That is the inanimate ocean, whereas this one is the living ocean. So much damage is caused by just one wave of the physical ocean in a storm. That can be a tsunami. It can also be a hurricane, which can bring up waves. At the time of destruction, there will be storms with great force, and all the lands and islands, etc., will be destroyed. It will not take long. They consider the natural calamities to be acts of God. And this is why they say that destruction takes place through Shankar. And because it takes place through Shankar, and Shankar is the same as Shiva, then it means that Shiva is responsible for the destruction. So he is the destroyer, and therefore this is an act of God. So this is their faulty logic. But Baba says, I don't give any direction like that. All that is fixed in the drama. The storms and natural calamities will do their work. And these calamities will come cycle after cycle. All the lands will be destroyed and they will be moved around. and only one Bharat will remain. So India is a tectonic plate by itself, and other places have fault lines running through the middle, so they will all get broken up. Preparations are being made for this. Rehearsals continue to take place. This natural play has been created. What it actually says is the play of nature is that like that. Nobody created it. You Shiv Shaktis can travel anywhere and explain to people. Tell them, all of you want there to be peace, but do you know where there can be peace? Where there can be happiness, prosperity, and where there is sorrow, hardship, distress. These are all things to be understood. The present time is the world of sorrow, distress, and the same Bharat was the world of happiness, prosperity. It used to be the kingdom of the Adi Sanatan deities, and the Iron Age is the time period of the world of sorrow, and that world, that civilization, is definitely to be destroyed. First, there will be the end, and then the beginning. In the middle, there are many different dharmas, many religions emerge. In the Golden Age, just one dharma. We can't really call it a religion because there are no articles of faith or tenets or things that they have to learn or something. It's a civilization where people are naturally soul conscious. There's no concept of God. There's no possibility of sin or avoidance of sin, and everything is naturally choreographed. This is the cycle of the drama, and there are 4 main religions. And the leg of one religion has been lost and forgotten. So tell us, the one who establishes the deity dharma. So nobody knows who established that. Or they say, well, Krishna established it in the Copper Age. The Supreme Father, the Supreme Soul, carries out establishment through Brahma. And in fact, you are also the children of Brahma, Prajapita Brahma, the father of the people. And you are also the sons of Shiva. And because of being the children of Brahma in physical form, you are brothers and sisters. And you know that you now belong to him. The Supreme Father, the Supreme Soul, first creates the Brahman Dharma. And the Brahman Dharma is the top knot. And the others come later, number-wise. In the end, you will definitely be revealed. Acha. To the sweetest, beloved, long-lost and now found children, love, remembrance, and good morning from the mother, the father, Bab Dada. The spiritual father says namaste to the spiritual children. The spiritual children say namaste to the spiritual father. So the essence for dharana, to imbibe this knowledge, remain soul conscious as much as possible. And then practice being bodiless by staying awake at night. That means doing Amrit Vela. However, you have to do it, but definitely read and study a Murli every day. Do not miss it for a single day. And promise to break away from everyone else and connect yourself to the one. That doesn't mean break away from them physically. It means do not be under their influence. And the blessing is may you become double light and fly in the flying stage by stabilizing in the form of a point. If you're in the form of a point, you're non-physical, therefore you don't have any weight, therefore you can fly. Constantly keep in your awareness that you are the stars of Baba's eyes. Nuri Ratan, it was a term of endearment he would use a lot. So the star of the eyes means just the points, the little star of the reflection of light in your eyes. So the speciality of seeing with the eyes is this point of light. So stay in the point form, because this is the way to fly in the flying stage. Perform every action as a point and you will remain light. Do not have the habit of carrying any kind of burden. Instead of saying mine, my responsibility, etc., it's yours and you will become double light. You will not then have any burden, any pressure that gets in the way of your self-progress or in the task of world service. And the slogan is, a world transformer is one who transforms negative into positive. So transformation means interpretation. Om Shanti. Experience the stage of being merged in love. Remain lost in the awareness of the body in such a way that your life is not based on body consciousness, day or night, hunger or thirst, happiness or facilities of comfort, and then your stage will be that of being merged in love. Just as a flame is a point of light, it is the form of light and might. In the same way, like the flame, you become the form of light and might, just a soul without a body. So sometimes you have to handle very extreme situations, and the physical body can give you a very hard time. And if you have had practice of yoga over a long period of time, you're in a better position to handle it. Because going beyond pain, going beyond difficulties, it's all part of the scheme of things. So just some news that Chandruben is in the hospital again, and so I think it's very nice if we can use the time period of meditation while we're offering bhog to give special sakash and good wishes to her, dealing with more physical distress. And this is the drama of souls. We saw the daddies having to go through these things, and now it's our turn. And so maybe while Bhog is coming, if there are any questions. Adi means original, and Sanatan means the beginning. So the dharma of the ancient original dharma of the beginning is the deity civilization. But this expression, Adi Sanatan, has been taken over by the Vedic India civilization, which is the sannyasis, the Shankaracharya, and people now call it the Adi Sanatan Hindu Dharma, or they describe current form of Hinduism as the ancient original Dharma, which means that they are effectively saying that there wasn't anything before this form of Hinduism. which is why Baba says not only the deity Dharma has gone into oblivion, but what happened after it has also gone into oblivion. And so he is telling us everything so that we know. And then it's not in oblivion anymore, it's known. Oblivion means forgotten. And things disappear when people don't think about them. They're called forgotten. And then something else replaces them. How many people can remember life before there was anything like internet? You'd be pretty old for that, right? Yeah, it was a different time because these are epochal changing circumstances. And so when you are life before these things, before the supremacy of technology, was different. It is supremacy, right? Okay, there's another question. How does Shiv Baba declare us as children? I mean, on what basis? He said that souls and supreme souls are eternally present, and souls descend to the unlimited looping drama, but I didn't get the context of father. Okay. Shiv Baba is the supreme soul, and he is the father of all the souls because he gives them an inheritance. So your relationship with somebody who gives you an inheritance is you're the child and he's the father. So that's a permanent state of affairs. But there's a particular time when he gives the inheritance, which is during the confluence age, which is the time when all the souls are on the earth at the end of the drama. And the inheritance is basically the knowledge. And then when you use that knowledge, then you create your fortune. Will you elaborate on, in the end, there will definitely be your revelation? Well, at the moment, the Brahma Kumaris are sometimes called the best kept secret. And a time will come when Baba's knowledge, not necessarily the Brahma Kumaris, but the Shiv Shaktis and Pandavas, the Raj Yogis, the people who were studying with Shiv Baba, and more than that, the knowledge that Shiv Baba gives and the identity of Brahma Baba and Mama, all this will be recognized in the world at some point, in some way, and we don't know exactly how that will happen, but it is time. So watch this space, and Baba says sometimes, wait and see. Om Shanti. Om Shanti. So offering Bog today. Do you feel the closeness of Baba? Can you feel it? And as much as there is the closeness of Baba, so also there is the closeness of this disruption time. Transformation time is disruption time. Baba spoke of storms that can wipe out islands and lands. And we are seeing more and more of that. And offering Bog to Baba was also that sense that storms are coming. It can be COVID storm that's going on, definitely. There's curfew in Delhi and Bombay because of a lot of new cases. There's a lot of things happening in many countries, and so planning is not really realistic. Everyone has to sit tight and weather the storms. Whenever there is in any place a warning of a hurricane, the warning comes a few days before, and then what do the people do? They hunker down and they put boards over the windows and they weather the storm. So sometimes we have to pass through times where it's stormy, and so we have to weather the storm. It can also be storms of Maya, because there's many different types of Maya. And one type of Maya is when whatever you thought you could rely on, all of a sudden you can't rely on it. That becomes a very big storm. And when the world is in transformation, this is the sign of transformation, that things that you thought you could rely on, you can't rely on anymore. Food in the stores, electricity, internet, your job, so many things. No longer can we rely on things without thinking about it, but when you can't rely on things of the material world, whether it's people or places or things, facilities, then you rely on the one that is reliable, which is God. And you know that we have several mantras in Gyan. Of course, the first one is Om Shanti. And then we have Man Man Abhav. And then we have forget your body and bodily relations and bodily religion and remember one alone. And there is another one which is take refuge in one alone. So God the protector. And so whenever you experience that there's a lot of disruption in your mind, your body, your circumstances, then this is the time to use this mantra, that take refuge in one alone. And we practice this, practice to be the point, because when you're a point of light, you're not part of the material world. So that's a stage of detachment right there. And then you can manage all the things that are going on around you. There is a sentence that Daddy Janki gave me one time, which I think is a very good one anyone can use for all these things. You can say, it is happening, but it's not happening to me. It's just happening. If you think it's happening to you, then you're overwhelmed. But if it's just happening, it's happening around you, but it's not happening to you. And there is also one phrase, or it might even be a song, and maybe you can help me remember the exact wording, but it says, what can storms do to one who is with God? You remember the one? Do I have it right? Yeah. So if you are with God, then nothing and no one, however much they attack you or bother you or anything, you can manage it. And so these expressions are very useful to know and keep in the back of your mind, so that any time when something appears or something arrives to challenge you, then you can respond to that challenge by these sentences. And by doing that, you're setting yourself in a position of not being vulnerable, not being overwhelmed, but you're set on a seat where you can handle the challenges. And then it means that they will not distress you, they will not bother you. You will be in your power. You have your spiritual weaponry and ornaments and capacities, and you meet the challenge as a sports person meets the challenges of their sport. So,
don't forget, don't remember. Na yaad
na
karo,
yaad
na
karo, na
visaro.
visaro.
Could you elaborate?
Well, if you're remembering someone, there is the implication of attachment. But if you're remembering someone with whom you have a very good, karmically correct relationship, then you should remember. Like Baba says, oh, Baba remembers the good, serviceable children. But there's no attachment, so you can let go. So Nayad Karo Navisaro refers to that kind of relationship where you have a deep connection. And this was very much, I was experiencing this with Dadi Prakashmani. You know, I lived with her for about 10 years. And she would say this, you know, Nayad Karo Navisaro, no attachment, but we're connected, kind of thing. And I think that's maybe a good way to interpret it. Yeah. So lots of remembrances for Chandruben. We will go and visit her and tell her. I think there was a question from Vancouver about snowstorms. Here we are. Natural snowstorms, visible natural snowstorms are happening. Yeah, lots of snow in a few places. There are weather issues. Yes, yes. Well, I did get a message the other day from in Edmonton. It was minus 35, which is really, really cold. Celsius. That's 35 degrees below freezing. And in the Arctic, it was 60 above. So everything is back to front. 60 above in the Arctic in the winter is odd, you know. One thing that's very important to know is that nobody will do your work for you. So the first thing about chart is you have to figure out what is the meaning of keeping your chart, because in the process of figuring it out, you actually start really keeping it. And there are many different ways that different BKs have devised as ways that other BKs could keep their chart, but it's not so useful. You have to figure out your own. And one expression for it, which I think is quite helpful, is an honest and rigorous personal inventory. And that is one of the steps of addiction recovery, an honest and rigorous personal inventory. Because, you know, people are quite good at making excuses to themselves, deceiving themselves, and not really taking stock of what they're doing and where they are, because it's quite difficult, it's quite hard work, and it takes a lot of time. So you can't really do that every day. But once in a while to do that is really very good, because then it opens up your eyes about yourself. You can see clearly if you're really wasting time, if you're busy with waste thoughts that are really so trivial, you're killing your time. If you are not bothering to develop yourself at the rate that you could be, all these types of things, if we become very conscious of it by really looking, that is a good thing that motivates us to get with the program and keep doing it properly. I mean, we have our BK routine with all the various elements of it, and if you do all of these, then you're on a very good track. Many people, they try to do things which are not realistic or that not sustainable, and then you can't keep it up. So you have to create a way of doing your Brahman practice which is sustainable. And the way that Baba has told us is actually sustainable. And then you have to see how true you are to yourself. And then there is the question of handling storms, because there will be opposition from people, from yourself, from your body, from your job, from your karmic accounts, from the state, from who knows. It can come from anywhere. A rigorous person, not vigorous, a rigorous with an R. Rigorous personal inventory. Yeah.
Can you elaborate more on being a trustee and being an instrument?
Well, being a trustee, in the beginning of the yagya, it was basically two types of people who would be BKs. One type would be those who are what's called dedicated or surrendered, and they would stay in Madhuban or stay in centers, and their everything belongs to Baba, and everything of Baba's is, or Baba is their sustainer in physical as well as spiritual way. And a trustee would be someone who is living in the family, who's working, who is got their place of residence, but they are interacting with their family, their job, their possessions, their self, according to Baba's Srimat, and using everything as if it is given to them by Baba. And so this is called trustee. So, and then instrument, very often in BK we use certain words to refer to someone's position or function within the organization. And so the word instrument is used for people who are head of center or head of region or head of something like this. And then that means the person who's responsible. There's another meaning of instrument, which is that you kind of get out of the way and let Baba use you. You make yourself available for Baba, and you say, okay, the purpose of me is to be someone that Baba can use in whatever way he wants.
Yes. Shilaben is asking if animals have soul.
Do animals have souls? Of
What do
course they
we
do.
what do we know about them in small?
An animal soul, a soul is like a seed, a living seed. So there are, I don't know, dog souls, cat souls, fish souls, crocodile souls, horse souls, lion souls. So they will reincarnate within their overall species, just like human souls will always reincarnate as humans. So human soul is the most complex, and there are souls of little insects which don't live very long, and so they're very little souls. But anything which gives life and has any level of consciousness that moves, like plants don't have souls. The octopus has a soul. The plants are alive, but not conscious, but they are sensitive to humans. And so you have to take care of them. You can't just because they don't have a soul doesn't mean you can trash them. So the plants are there to sustain us. There are carnivorous animals and they kill and eat, but they don't kill everything in sight, you know. Like human beings have a habit of doing that. Right? You remember the stories of what happened to the huge buffalo herds in the prairies of America. People would just shoot them and leave them to rot. You know, that's completely insane and absolute disregard for the forces of nature, and there will be consequences, you know. Nothing is without consequences. So if you have care for all life, that's good.